Shabbat Shalom. Nice to be with all of you for this week's Take-Home Torah. I hope you had a beautiful week of Hanukkah, however you celebrated. I actually heard from some people that this was the first time that they lit every night at home. I guess that's one of the blessings of being home all the time. It was also such a treat to be able to celebrate with all of you every night these past 8 nights, virtually as we came together as a community. Cocktails, sufganiyot making, learning, comedy, music, getting to know one another. It was really a packed week, but a blessing to see how much our community has to offer one another. I don't know about you, but it seems like a season this year, more than ever, when people are searching for miracles, waiting in the darkness for a miracle to lift us out of this. I learned a beautiful teaching this week that perhaps the miracle of Hanukkah was not the oil lasting for 8 nights, rather that the Jews decided to light that small bit of oil in the first place, knowing that it would only maybe last for 1 night. The fact that they had the faith that miracles could occur, and that the faith might be the biggest and most important miracle of all of them. As I was reading this week's parashat Miketz, I had these 2 things in mind: miracles and faith. Looking for a drash, an explanation for why this parsha is read during this time of year. Now, historically, we know that there is no connection, that we celebrate Hanukkah during this time of year because that is the historical evidence that we have from the story of the Maccabees, the 25th of Kislev. But still, I was hoping for some kind of connection that could be made between this week's parsha, this week's story, and the season. Miketz begins with Pharaoh's dreams, 2 dreams. First, he dreams that 7 fat cows are swallowed up by 7 thin cows. Then, he dreams that 7 fat ears of corn are swallowed up by 7 lean ears of corn. He is disturbed by these dreams, but more disturbed that no one in his palace could help him interpret them to what they really mean. He gets agitated and he's looking for answers, and he's ultimately led to Joseph. Joseph is known for being able to interpret dreams, and this is exactly what he does. Joseph tells Pharaoh that both of these dreams are coming to tell the same story, that 7 years of plenty will be followed by 7 years of famine. And Joseph advises Pharaoh that in order to prepare for these 7 years of famine, that he should use the first 7 years of plenty, of abundance, to stock up on all that he's going to need. And this is exactly what Pharaoh does. And he is so grateful to Joseph for Joseph's wisdom that he gives Joseph a promotion to governor of Egypt. Now, if you read the story for Pshat, if you read it for its exact meaning or the simple meaning of the text, it can read as very linear and quite simple. Pharaoh has dreams. He doesn't understand what they mean. Joseph interprets them. Turns out to be correct in his interpretation, and then Pharaoh thanks him by giving him a higher status in Egypt. It's pretty straightforward and a story that most people can get behind. But given this time of year, and as I said, that my mind is clouded with thoughts of miracles and of faith, I want to ask the question: were Joseph's interpretations at all based on faith? Faith in what? Faith in himself, that he was a skilled dream interpreter? Faith in God? It seems that Pharaoh sees Joseph as a man of great talent and wisdom, but actually the Torah clearly reveals to us that Joseph is acting pretty much only on faith, and specifically in his faith in God. Joseph says, as for Pharaoh, having had the same dream twice, it means that the matter has been determined by God, and that God will soon carry it out. There it is, stated almost as fact. The dreams are meant to be a message from God, a prediction of how the future will play out. And so when Joseph determines that 7 years of abundance will be followed by 7 years of famine, there is no questioning of that for him. So what would you do if you heard this news? You too would stock up and prepare. And so while Pharaoh may have seen this as a miracle that Joseph was able to interpret the fate that was before him, Joseph acted on faith and on humility, that the world and nature was bigger than he was, and that surely these visions, these dreams had come to tell them something significant. And so if you read this story using the framework that I started By sharing earlier about how to look at the Hanukkah story, you might say, it wasn't a miracle at all that Joseph interpreted the dreams and interpreted them correctly. Rather, it was a miracle that Pharaoh asked Joseph to interpret the dreams in the first place. Because if he hadn't, he may not have survived all those years of famine, and it was Joseph's faith in God that saved them both. Something miraculous happened this week. Many of our frontline workers across the country are beginning to get the COVID vaccine, a moment that we have all been waiting many, many months to see. And while it is miraculous, and surely in a week of light, I am beginning to see the light, I don't want to make the mistake of availability of a vaccine as a miracle. That is the outcome of hundreds of doctors and scientists who have been hard at work trying to combat this virus. And we are starting to see slowly the fruits of that labor, the light at the end of a very long tunnel. I do think that having made it to this moment, however, is a miracle. It has been a long, many months, many lives lost, many families and loved ones kept apart at a distance. I know for many of us, COVID is beginning to hit very close to home in these past few weeks. Sometimes it feels like a bad dream. This can't be our reality. But as Joseph taught us, we have to acknowledge the truth that is in our dreams. And in terms of the miracle, the fact that each night of Hanukkah this week, so many of you in this community showed up on Zoom to celebrate together, even in the darkest of times, that to me is a miracle. That we still have the energy to show up for one another, that we still come to pray together, to learn together, and to lift one another up. It is a miracle. And I believe it is a miracle based on faith. We all have faith, whether in God or in something greater than ourselves, that we will come out of this. And so for now, we do the very best that we can with what we have, with virtual life, by FaceTime and Zoom, by acknowledging the depth of light that each candle brought us these past 8 days, and by acknowledging that continuing to have faith will lead us to a brighter and healthier world. I wish you all a truly Shabbat Shalom, a Shabbat of love, health, and peace. Yididai, 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 ya 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 ya.